DaVinci Resolve Lite is one of the most amazing free video editors on the market, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to quickly get the most out of it. First of all, we'll just have a look at how I built the introduction you just saw. To begin with, we open up DaVinci Resolve, and this is what you'll see once you select a blank project. Down the bottom here are our four main areas where we import the media, we edit the media, we can edit the separate media tracks, and then we deliver it. So our editing workspace looks like this, a color workspace looks like this, and in this area what we're going to do in this tutorial is key out some colors on some particular footage so that it transparently sits on top of other footage. Once we've got our project all done, then we'll export it, and we can customize the export. We can export it to YouTube, Vimeo, and the default settings are usually the ones to go with, but of course you can modify those. So now to create our introduction, what we'll do first is we'll import some media. Now, for good housekeeping, it's a good idea to create a project folder, and the way I do it is simply create all the assets in the project folder, the audio, images and vision. So in the audio, we've got some stock tracks and some sound effects. In the images, we've got some background images and some little talking bubbles here, and we've got some screenshots of the different resources that I've used in order to create this particular production. There is a lot of free stock footage, stock images out there, so there's no immediate need to buy stock footage and that sort of stuff. Same with the video. Got some backgrounds which we can use, and some different sort of effects. This is the one we're going to use for the introduction. Some lower thirds, and these are great little effects that you see often on sports shows and things like that. And this has a black background, and we'll be keying out that black background so that the lower third sits on top of the footage. Some screen recordings of what we've taken, and I'll keep adding to this as we go through. Some stock footage. It's always good to have a little bit of stock footage in your video production because it just increases the production value. In here we've got a little bit of archive footage, and archive footage can be great to throw in there just as a pattern interrupt to keep people interested in the production. And we've also got some wipes. And these are great for just transitioning in between clips. Okay, so we'll go back to our backgrounds. And get the earth. And what we can do immediately is we can just drop that straight into the media pool, and we get asked, do we want to convert it to the same frame rate as the project? And yes, we want to do that. So now once we've done that, we'll head into our editing area, and we can drag our footage straight onto the timeline. So this is what we're looking at. We'll just play that through. And above here, we're going to add our text. And what we can do, first of all, when we click on the track, we can see it comes up in the inspector, and we can add a lot of effects to our particular clip. I'm going to do immediately is just copy that with Command or Control C, and I'm at the end, so I'm going to paste that. This is a loopable track, so this should just play through. And you see that loops really nicely. We're in the edit area, and once with the edit area, we've got our media pool and we've got our effects library. The effects library is fantastic. We've got audio transitions, video transitions, we can add titles to our production, and we've got generators. I won't be touching too much on the generators in this particular tutorial. However, our audio, our video and our text will play a big part. So when we want to add text, what do? We just drag text onto the timeline, and once we place the playhead over the top, we can see where it is there. So what we want to do is just select it so it comes up. Now we can move this up here. Here we can change the colour. We've got some different colour options here, depending on how you like to work with your colours. For this particular tutorial, I'm just going to stick with the block colours, and now we'll just call this 12.5. Place that there. And while we're in this particular area here, you'll notice that I've got starred this cross dissolve. That's because I use it a lot. It's just a really nice professional looking transition, so that when we start, now we've got DaVinci Resolve. And what I can do now is I can just stretch that right out across, and what we'll do is we'll add some scrolling text. So once again, just drag it down onto the timeline. We'll make that come in a little bit later on this particular one. As you can see, as you scroll along, it basically, now it's just taking a little bit longer because of the screen recording. However, what we're going to do on this particular one is press this particular icon, which is it should come up there, that transform icon, and all I really want the scrolling text to do is just come up into this area here. Now we'll just pull in some text. And let's have a look at what we've got there. We can just add more to that. So up here, go to the end, 5. Add some images. 6. We'll add a transition. Whoops, I spelled that. Between clips, and we'll think about what else we'll do there. For the moment though, What we might do just quickly is add a cross dissolve, do that, and finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some music underneath that. So just go back into audio, music, and just have a quick listen. Okay, well that sounds not too bad. As you can see, we're in the edit area, but what we can also do is we can drag the clips straight into the edit area. So it doesn't have to go into the media pool immediately. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut it out there and fade it out. So we use the splice tool there, delete that, go back to our effects library and go to our crossfade, fade that in and fade that out. Now with our effects library, just increase that. We can also increase the workspace area too. So that we keep it in full view. Okay, let's have a listen, have a look.
Hello, welcome. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about the optimal computer setup, and that is to use multiple screens if you're not doing that already. One of the first things that best practice when you are using Camtasia 9 is that you make the use of multiple screens. That can be the screen on your laptop as well as a monitor. It can be the screen on your desktop as well as another monitor. It can be two monitors. The fact of the matter is that you need to make use of multiple screens if you're going to be most effective in screencasting. And making those monitors available and making them work with your operating system is very easy to do in Windows and Mac. In fact, Windows and Mac operating systems make accommodations for people who use multiple screens. They anticipate that you're going to make use of multiple screens. An additional monitor is not expensive, so probably you're talking in the area of $50 used, maybe $100 new. Typically, an additional monitor would be picked up for as little as $50 used and $100 new. But you're going to want to purchase as high of a resolution that you can when you get the monitor. And we're going to say that at minimum, you should be looking for 1920 by 1080 pixels. That is probably the standard at which you're going to be producing videos and that you want to edit your videos. And if you have a laptop that has that resolution, then you want to be able to use your screen effectively using the same resolution. Here's what multiple screens do. They allow you to toggle back and forth between notes and screens and other things that will help you to create your video. For example, you're looking at the recording toolbar here, and we have been able to move this back and forth due to the multiple screen environment. What this does is this allows you to focus on what you're describing, and it also gives you some alternatives, especially when you're using the screenwriting tools and everything else that you're going to be using as you start to screencast. In fact, it's going to make it very easy for you to be able to do PowerPoint videos. And one of the things that you have probably noticed, and maybe you noticed in one of the previous videos in the basic course, is that you can switch back and forth between the presenter view as well as the display view. And this really does help you to be able to monitor where you are. So for example, you were looking at a slide presentation, and when you have a multiple screen environment, you can actually look over to the right and know what's coming next. You can actually start to plan in your mind as to what you're actually going to be saying about what you're going to be describing to your audience. And this is especially helpful when you're screencasting. And we're going to go ahead and switch back to the presenter view. Of course, if you can make use of 3 monitors, you can be even more efficient because you can spread some of the load across 3 monitors and be effective. In some case, if you have a document you're referring to during your PowerPoint presentation, as well as having that PowerPoint staging area, as well as having your presentation, again, taking advantage of multiple screens is a very effective way of being able to use Camtasia. And this does not have to be expensive or fancy. You can have something as simple as an old monitor as well as an old laptop. The most important thing when you are projecting, when you are presenting, is that you have these multiple screens. And as long as they can be side by side and be next to each other, this will allow you to toggle back and forth and to be able to refer to things and to be able to be effective when you're communicating. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video. Welcome back. Now, in this best practices video, we're going to be talking about making sure that your recording computer is going to be at eye level. Now, you're going to appear in your tutorial videos on camera. That means whether you're going to appear fully as the subject of the video or whether or not you're going to appear in the corners we've talked about. You need to make sure that your computer is going to be at eye level. And mainly, you want to make sure that your camera is going to be at eye level, because whenever you are actually going to be talking to your audience, you should be looking directly into the eye of the camera, because that will then give the effect that you are actually talking to them. One of the things that is difficult about screencasting is that you can often, without necessarily trying to do so, look in a different direction, you can look off to the side, and it is distracting to the people who are actually watching the video. So 2 things that you need to do. Number 1, make sure that you're going to bring your computer to eye level, and then wherever your webcam is, you want to make sure that you are able to look directly into it so that you can be direct and connecting with the people who are going to be watching. Now, this whole setup is important for reading and navigational purposes too. So if you are actually scrolling through your points when you're talking on PowerPoint, it's more effective if you can see them, if they're at eye level. You're not looking up at them, you're not looking too far down at them. Having them directly in front of them is very important. Now, in order to get your computer to eye level, you can purchase items from office supply stores, or you can use books to stack until you get to the right height. Now, once you discover the right height, that needs to be a short-term solution. So all you're doing with the books is you're determining how high it is. You want to measure that. You want to know exactly how tall that is, because that's what you're going to go and take to the office supply store. In the long term, the kind of solution that you want is going to be something that allows your laptop to be high at eye level, but it needs to breathe so it won't overheat. So you don't want to have your laptop so it's sitting on top of something that will not allow the fan to cool it off. You want to make sure that it's open and that it's really running over something that is porous or already has holes in it. Again, just as we discussed in the last video, this does not have to be, and it shouldn't be, an expensive solution. The one you're about to see costs about $3, and that's about as much as you have to pay. Notice how the area right behind the screen, it's breathed, it's porous, it has holes in it, so the laptop can actually breathe. And it also raises the level of the laptop so that you can see eye level, so you can see the webcam if necessary, so you can read properly. You can actually have a real conversation with the people that are going to be watching the video. And you can see it a little better here. Again, notice the fact that this allows the laptop to breathe. There isn't a problem with overheating. And one of the things that happens over time is if you have a laptop and you don't allow it to breathe, you will cause problems with that laptop overheating, shortening the life of your laptop, having to buy other pieces, when really this is a really simple, very inexpensive solution that will help you to do that, while at the same time really bringing your PC to the level where you can actually use Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the next video.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of My Unfair Advantage. We're going to be talking about your online business plan today. It's so important, and so many people totally drop the ball when it comes to creating a business plan. And even if you have some kind of like a little business plan scribbled on like the little post-it note or something, you don't stay on focus. You don't stay on track, and you end up getting pulled in a whole bunch of different directions and then complaining about information overload. Oh my God, it's not my fault. No, yeah, it is. It is. As a matter of fact, when you succeed in business, it's your fault. You succeed because of what you did to get there. When you fail in business, it is your fault. You fail because of what you did or didn't do to get there. So I'm going to talk to you here about creating a business plan. You gotta have a plan. If you're trying to get somewhere that you've never been to before, you need directions. If you're trying to succeed in business, you need a plan. And so many people go into creating an online business the wrong way without a plan. And I'll tell you what, you don't want to do that because this can turn into a really expensive hobby. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I'm going to have to ask you this first. Are you creating a launch, a list, a product, or are you creating an actual business? Because there's a big difference. There's a very big difference. And it's the reason you see people fall into this trap. It's like, okay, well, I got to make a product. You know, they just start about it ass backwards, and they just start doing everything the wrong way. And they're like, well, I heard you got to create a product, so I'm going to start creating a product. Oh, I heard you got to build a list, so I'm going to start building a list. I heard I got to do a launch, and I'm going to do a WSO. And then they start doing that. And, okay, well, let me get a training product about how to make a WSO. And then they do that. And then what happens when that's done? I'm going to have to do it again. And then you find yourself into this cycle, right? This self-defeating model of launch after launch after launch. You don't really have anything tangible. You don't have a business. You don't have something you can sell. I mean, you don't have a business that you can sell. Right now, I can sell my business. I can sell my company. I have $1 million business. And I've built it over a period of 5 years alongside my wife, Melinda. And we've done it from home. And we did it by creating a catalog of products. We don't just have one thing. I didn't set out to make one launch. I set out to create a business. And the thing is, a lot of people don't do this. And you do it in your regular job, right? You take part in a regular business and you do things like planning and set goals and you know, you have reports that you have to hand into your boss every night. But when it comes to your own business, you don't do that. You just sit down, just like kind of shooting at the wind. Like you just kind of, you don't have a target, you don't have a plan, you don't have a work schedule, you don't have any of that. And then you wonder, well, why am I not making money? Well, that's why, dude, because you don't have a business plan. So how could you possibly consider yourself a business owner? It all starts with a pad and a pencil. That's it. That's all it takes. You just need to close the door and sit down and just meditate a little bit on what you're trying to accomplish. Open up a pad to a plain white piece of paper and grab your pencil and just start writing down some ideas, some goals. Then eventually what happens is those goals and those ideas from your pad, they move on to a whiteboard. You should have a whiteboard for your business. You know, having a business area in your house is very important. Are you running your business from like your kitchen table and your laptop and moving it around with you? That doesn't really help in the beginning. You really should have an area that's your own. It's your company. This is the space. It's this little corner of the house. It's this little whiteboard. This is my calendar. This is my, and the stuff on the pad moves over to the whiteboard. And I used to have a 3-foot whiteboard where I wrote down everything. I broke down my goals. I had a little calendar whiteboard kind of thing that I would fill in what I needed to do by certain dates. But that was my business. It was my business area. I had my desktop. I had my binders with my notes. I had, the ebooks that I had purchased and printed them out. They were on the desk there. I had my little, my notebook with, I would open it up every day. I had my computer, and then I had an actual CRT monitor, like a regular computer, and then I had a little laptop next to it that I would work together on both those computers. Because sometimes I'd be watching the training video on one and then doing the actual thing that I was being trained on the other computer. But the point that I'm making, I had a business area. That was my office in my house, and that's what I dedicated it to. You don't have to have a fancy schmancy, high-rise office building or anything like that. You just need a little area that you can call your own, a little area that everybody else in the house knows not to mess with, because that's mommy's business or that's daddy's business. And it's that important. And I even had a name for my company. You know, I had a name for my company, and I put it up on the top of the whiteboard, and Melinda bought me a little plate with my name on it, you know, like you put at your desk at work, you know, and I put that on the door, you know, and I was running it like a businessman. I would, you know, get home and I'd go to work. Literally, I'd get home from work and I'd go to work. And I'd go to work for myself, for me and my family. And I took it very, very seriously. I envisioned a company long before it was even a company. I knew in my mind's eye what I wanted to build, and then I set out to build it. Run it like a business from day one, because as a hobby, this thing is more expensive than golf, let me tell you. If you're treating this like a hobby, it's going to treat you like a hobbyist. You're not going to be, you know, the average person that plays golf doesn't make money from it. The average person that builds model airplanes doesn't make money from it. The average person that makes scrapbooks doesn't make money from it. Those are hobbies. They buy the stuff that they need to partake in the hobby, but they don't really make any money from it because they're not looking at it as a business. They're looking at it as something to do. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of internet marketing products out there that you can fall victim to and buy, and it becomes rather expensive. You may be there. You may be there right now. A hard drive full of products and stuff that you've done nothing with, or stuff that you've started and given up after 2 videos because it didn't quite turn out to be what you wanted it to be. Whose fault is that? It's your fault, man. It's not anybody else's fault but yours, because you didn't have a proper plan and you didn't buy the proper tool for the proper job. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Now, I want to cover a couple of things here, and I'm not going to sugarcoat any of it. Obviously, you know that I'm not known for sugarcoating things. And first of all, I'm going to say these 2 things. You have to be self-motivated, and you have to be ready to get your ass kicked. Does that bother you? Does that scare you? Let me tell you something. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to build something of great value from scratch, you've got to be willing to take the punches. And you're going to take some punches right on the chin. And you're going to have to learn. You're venturing into something new. And like with anything else, there is going to be a learning curve. You're going to try things that don't work. You're going to fall flat on your face. And it's not about, you know, how many times you tried. It's about how many times you got back up and you got on the horse again and you tried again, right? So it's important that you be self-motivated to do that. If you're the kind of person that is still in a stage in your life where you got to get up, oh God, I gotta go sit at the computer and do work, dude, you're not gonna build a business. I'm sorry. If you're the kind of person that needs others to motivate you, that you can't get started, you can't get rocking and rolling, you can't sit down and work hard for hours at a time without somebody on your back, without listening to 2 hours of Tony Robbins to get you all amped up, without drinking 10 cans of Red Bull. If you're that person, chances are you're going to get your ass kicked, because building a business takes a lot of work. It takes hard work and dedication, and you're going to try things and you're going to invest your time and your energy, and then it's not going to work, and you're going to look, you're going to shed tears, and you're going to sweat, and you're going to realize that being successful is tough. It's hard. And you're going to realize that once you start making progress, sometimes you got to take a step back in order to make 2 steps forward. And it's not always roses and daisies on the other side of the fence, okay? You actually will be getting your ass kicked. So you need to be a self-motivated person, a go-getter, somebody that wants to achieve goals. You have to be driven. And that's important. I'm not going to make this a big motivational video. That's not what this is about. But it's important that you understand that it's hard. It's hard work. Maybe you haven't heard somebody say that to you before. Maybe everybody that you've listened to in the past as far as building your online business has been trying to sell you something. And so they've been telling you, yeah, it's going to be awesome. You don't got to do nothing. Just pay me $47. And then you copy this little line of secret code that exposes this loophole that automatically pours money into your pay. Doesn't work that way. Okay, building a business takes hard work. Ask any entrepreneur. Walk into any pizzeria and talk to the guy that built it. Talk to the guy that had screwed every light bulb in there. The guy that actually sweated it out while he was having 2 customers a day buying pizzas. The guy that actually had to go out and buy the oven. The guy that had to set the tables. The guy that did all the work, or the lady that did all the work. Go to any business owner and ask them what it took to get there, and they're going to say hard work. None of them are gonna say, "Oh man, this is awesome." Yeah, no, I didn't have to do anything from the day I started. Yeah, no, this is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of My Unfair Advantage. I've got an interesting one for you today that I really want you to take notes on, to pay close attention with. This is probably one that you're going to refer to a couple of times throughout your career online. And this is one that's going to probably upset you here and there, because my goal is to get your mind right when it comes to running an online business the proper way. I'm going to be giving you some very important statistics, and I'm going to give you some information that might not sit well with things you've heard in the past from people that were trying to sell you something online. See, I'm not going to try to sell you anything on this particular webinar, on this particular presentation. I just want to educate you. And I'm going to give you the facts the way that you know I like to give them. That is straight up. Whether they heard or they don't, they're the facts, and they're important for you to run your business. And a lot of people do the wrong thing, and they think they're doing the right thing. So they simply don't know what they don't know. And they're trying to make money online, which is totally different than running an online business. Did you hear what I just said? Making money online and running an online business are two completely different things. And the difference is whether your mind is right or not. And that's what we're going to be talking about here. What is your mindset? Now listen, I know some people right now are, oh God. No, listen, this is not going to be some big motivational, you can do it. I'm not going to make you walk across coal. This is not the firewall. I'm not Anthony Robbins. I'm the dude that's going to tell you how it is from experience. And your mindset, the way that you are thinking about business when you're approaching a new endeavor, is very, very important. As a matter of fact, it's the most important thing that determines whether or not you're going to succeed, or whether you're going to be one of those small business owners that falls into that category, into that majority that fails, and that fails quickly and expensively. I don't want you to be that person, but at the end of the day, there's a clear distinction that separates the 7% that make it with their new business and the 93% that don't. There's a very, very clear distinction, and it has to do with the mindset. And I'm not talking about you got to have positive attitude. All those things are important. Now you got to, but you've got to be thinking about what you're doing the right way, and you've got to approach things properly. See, one of the biggest problems that online entrepreneurs face, when we say the word entrepreneur and then we say the word online, we start falling into the whole make money online niche. The niche itself, our whole market, our whole industry that we're in, is under this pretense of make money online. What do you do for? Have you ever been asked by a family member, by somebody, what do you do? And you're like, you don't know what. You have trouble explaining it. If that's you, then you're not running an online business. Because I can tell somebody the name of my company, I can tell them exactly what we manufacture, what we produce, where we're licensed, what we service, who our clientele are. I have a business. I run a business. And for a lot of people, making money online is the business. They think that that's what it is. Now, I want to make a few things clear, especially when it comes to mindset. Embarking on a new business venture during a financially unstable time in your life is risky. It's just not a smart move. Think about that. Would you go and, join a powerlifting concert when you're currently admitted to the hospital for anemia? No, not the best time in your life to do that. Would you run a marathon? You know what I mean? It's not the right time to do that. So the problem is that people turn to the internet when they need money and they think, I'm going to start a business. Let me tell you something right now, and this is the part that might make you a little upset, all right? If you're having trouble paying your bills, if you're about to lose your house, if you're out of work, I'm going to be the guy that says this to you. It's not the right time for you to venture into a business. Because it is a business, and business requires an investment of your time, a significant investment of your money. It requires a business plan. It requires quite a bit of time and money investment because it's a business. Good business judgment is clouded by financial instability. Everywhere in my business, in the history of my company, where we have not been making the money that we needed, and we've just been stretching ourselves too thin, during those times I made the worst possible business decisions, because you're making business decisions and you're embarking on business moves from a position of weakness, right? So, for example, if I don't have the money in the bank to hire somebody to get it done right, I may be prone to make the decision to try to do it myself. Doing it myself, though, means I have to watch 40 hours of training videos on how to do it myself, and in the end, what I've created isn't going to come out as good as if I had outsourced that, right? And I would never have made that poor business decision if I had a rich business and I had money in the bank and I had properly budgeted my expenses and I was following a business plan, right? So my business judgment and the decisions that I make in my business are clouded by financial instability. And if you are in a time in your life where you're having trouble paying the bills, you're having trouble at home, you lost your job, you have all this stress, you have this stuff going on around money, what on God's green earth makes you think that this is a good time to invest in a business? Because that's what it is. As a matter of fact, when you decide that you're going to run an online business, you're making an investment that's much more precious than money. See, money you can always make back. You can make more money. Time, you can't make back. So anything that you're going to have to invest your time into, shit, when you have got a lot of time on your hands, yeah, it's cool, it's fine, it's no problem. But let me tell you something. When you're having trouble paying your bills, you need all the time you can get. You need all the time to work overtime, to do things that are going to get you out of debt now. Nowhere is it written that starting a business gets you profit now. It's not the way that it works. As a matter of fact, most startups don't turn a profit for years. Did you hear what I just said? Most startup businesses don't turn a profit for years. There are so many businesses out there that are not profitable. They're barely keeping the doors open. Their owners are simply running it on borrowed money, on to keep maxing out credit cards. They're about to lose everything. They don't pay themselves. They just pay their employees. Good business judgment is clouded by financial instability. You don't make the wise business decisions and do the things that you need to do to fix business because you're trying to just get by with business. And you get into this downward spiral that inevitably puts you in the majority of people that fail. I hope that makes sense, and I hope that resonates with you. There's a difference between having a job and running a business. It's paramount. That difference is paramount. It's huge. A lot of people come from the job sector, and they think that the desire to make money outside of a job makes them an entrepreneur, and it does not. I commend you for watching this right now, for being interested in running your own business. Maybe you're already there. I don't know. It's impossible for me to know what level you are right now in business or in online marketing or whatever it is that you're doing. It's impossible for me to know that. However, I commend you for having the tenacity and the resilience to be watching this right now. However, the fact that you're watching this doesn't make you an entrepreneur. The fact that you want to own a business does not make you an entrepreneur. The fact that you need money and you've turned to the internet to make money online does not make you an entrepreneur or a business owner. What you need is money, and like I said earlier, when you're in a mindset that you need money, that I am like, oh my God, I need money, that is not the time to turn to the internet to try to make money. Does that make sense? Because you're probably saying, oh, what the hell? Okay, I'm gonna start clearing this up a little bit more as we move through the slides. Perhaps you heard somewhere that, oh, you can make money online. And you know what? There are a lot of ways to make money online, but maybe what you need is a job. Maybe what you need is an online job. A lot of times people approach me, and I love it when they put a date on it and say, oh, Omar, you make money online, blah, blah, blah. I need to make $500 by this week. I need $500 by Friday. What can I do to make $500 by Friday? You know what my answer to them is? My answer to them is get a job. I already have a job, but I need another $500. Okay, get a second job. Get a part-time job. Go do something else. Go work. Are you working on the weekends? I'm working every single day of the week. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's tough. That's tough. Then what you need is counseling. You need financial counseling. You need somebody to help you manage the money that you're getting better. I think you're overspending. Because if you're working every single waking hour and you're working hard and you've got 3 jobs, and you're either ridiculously in debt and you need financial counseling, you need help, but starting a business is not the answer to your freaking problems right now. It's gonna compound them because it's gonna take you away from where you need to be spending your hours to take care of your family and financial obligations. Did that just piss you off that I said that?
In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of websites where you can buy banner advertisements, and these places are, sites that not too many people know about yet. Now, banner advertising is still an effective way to get traffic as long as you can get a high enough click-through rate and pay a low enough cost per click. Okay, so the first site that I'm looking at here is called Buy Sell Ads, and basically they make buying banners a breeze. Basically, all you do is just pick your category, check the inventory, and choose a placement that works for you. Okay, this other site that I want to show you is called Project Wonderful, and this site though has a different system of charging for ads. You basically bid on ad spots for the day as opposed to spots for the month on buy sell ads. Now, why are these good traffic sources? One reason is they are cheap, and the other reason is that you can advertise almost anything. Now, the keys to success, you should get very visible placements and use proven ads that look like they belong on the sites. And you should also match the demographics of the site by looking at Quantcast and seeing if you can match an offer to those demographics. Greenpoint Ads is a great traffic source. They have access to over 50 million daily visitors, and they sell a number of different kinds of traffic. They do pop unders, layer ads, mobile traffic, and dating traffic. You can check out their site for more information on that. Now, why is this good traffic? Well, for one thing, the core demographic that you're reaching is one that costs more through other advertising methods. Okay, this demographic is mostly male. They're tech savvy. A lot of them are making $100,000 a year. A lot of them have smartphones. They like to purchase online frequently. They like luxury brands. They like business opportunities and more. So basically, this demographic is easy to sell to as long as you sell the right thing to them. Okay, another reason this is a great traffic source is that they are just cheap comparatively compared to other advertising sources if you want to reach this demographic. Another reason this is a great traffic source is that it is unlimited inventory. If you find something that works, you can just scale up. And another reason this is a good traffic source is that you can advertise almost anything to this demographic as long as it is something that they are interested in. Actually, if you go to, let's see, the FAQ section here on their websites, let me just quickly do that here. They have one where it shows what kind of traffic this Greenpoint offer, and in here it says, advertisers report that our traffic works best, but not exclusively, with dating, gambling, video gaming, app software install, business opportunity, awareness branding, iPhone, iPad giveaways, surveys, and auto offers.
Introduction. As more and more baby boomers retire, a lot of them are facing a key question. A lot of boomers have stashed away enough cash to comfortably support them throughout their golden years. Many have invested in 401k plans. Others have very robust IRA packages. Unfortunately, there's a huge chunk of senior citizens who have underfunded pensions. A lot of them are simply relying on Social Security. Others may have private pensions that don't really pay all that well. Not surprisingly, a significant percentage of baby boomers who are now retiring only choose to semi-retire. They still work upwards of 20 hours every single week to essentially supplement whatever pension funds they're getting from the government or from private sources. On the other hand, there are a lot of senior citizens who simply have a lot of time on their hands. They don't need money because they're well taken care of by their retirement plans. That's not the issue with them. The issue is, what do they do with their time? Regardless of which group you belong to, if you're a senior citizen, you should definitely look into working from home using the internet. There are many work-from-home jobs available out there, and the key is to use these opportunities to maximize your personal potential. You may not need the money, but you can definitely use the engagement. Why wouldn't you want to work on something that engages your sense of curiosity, adventure, and possibility? Wouldn't it be awesome to work on something that produces money while at the same time pushes you to be as creative and as imaginative as before? If you answered yes to any of the questions above, earning an online income may be the answer you're looking for. Why should you work from home? I know this seems like a very basic question, but we can't assume that we already know the answer. It's much better not to assume anything so as to not overlook anything. This is a very important basic question. Why should you work from home? What kind of benefits would you get working remotely? Convenience. When you're working from home, you don't have to put on your work clothes. You don't have to get from point A to point B. You don't have to hassle about traffic. You don't have to budget for lunch. You don't have to deal with office politics. You're just dealing with work in an environment you can control. After all, you're working from the comfort of your home. Also, you save a tremendous amount of money in commutes, in lunches, and all sorts of daily hassles that the daily grind brings to the table. You exercise your brain. There is such a thing as senior citizen brain drain. If you're a baby boomer and you've been working with your brain all these years, when you retire, suddenly, all that brain activity goes off a cliff. Maybe you were upper management in your career. People would come to you for all sorts of hard decisions. Maybe you would process a lot of data. Maybe you were a doctor or a lawyer during your previous career. These involved a lot of reading, analysis, and hard decisions. Well, when you retire, it's very easy for your brain to turn into mush because you just find yourself reading magazines, watching YouTube videos, and essentially giving your brain a pass. Well, when you're doing work for others from the comfort and safety of your home, you get to exercise your brain. Maybe it's not at the same intellectual intensity as before, but you're at least giving your brain something to do. You put yourself in a situation where you can remain intellectually productive and mentally sharp. The best part to all this is that your brain improves or at least maintains its functions when you learn something new. So, if you're going to work from home and you've branched into a new area that is outside your core competencies, you can bet that you are definitely giving your brain a much-needed workout. Don't disregard the money. Depending on how well your retirement has been set up, money may not even be a consideration for you. On the other hand, if you haven't saved much for retirement, money is a big deal. Regardless of how big of a factor money is to you, please understand that working from home can be lucrative. The techniques that I'm going to teach you in this training are going to step you through many different ways of making money on the internet, as well as through hybrid solutions that make online and offline platforms. The bottom line is, depending on how hard you work, depending on the kind of system that you build, and depending on how you invest your time and how your reputation shapes up, you can earn quite a bit of money. In fact, a lot of retirees easily make six figures just working from home. Now, that may not be a big deal to you because if you were particularly successful in your career, six figures is small potatoes. But in many cases, senior citizens working from home who pulled down that much money actually put in very little time. Also factor in the amount of time, focus, and planning that went into producing income. You get flexibility. The great thing about working from home is you get flexibility. Personally, I love this. I have a small boy, and it's really a pleasure seeing him grow up. The great thing about becoming a parent is you get to relive your childhood through the eyes of your child. Whatever issues you may have had with your parents or whatever misgivings you may have had about your own childhood, you have a chance to fix that with the life of your child. It's no surprise that parents love to say that they give their kids the opportunities that they themselves did not have. This doesn't just involve money or the ability to buy certain things. This also involves emotional and intellectual nurturing, sustenance, and cultivation. Also, you get to enjoy a very nice work-life balance when you're working from home. Your work revolves around your schedule, not the other way around. This flexibility enables you to enjoy more of what life has to offer. Working from home gives you a sense of meaning. At the end of the day, what really makes life worth living is not the amount of money we have in the bank. It's not the amount of respect we get from others or the social status we manage to achieve. It goes beyond that. A life worth living really boils down to whether you think that there is a purpose to you living. What's the point of having a lot to live for when you have nothing to live from? It's all about purpose or a sense of meaning. When you work on your own terms from home, you get that sense of purpose. You get rewarded for being curious. You get rewarded for breaking things up and putting them back together again and piecing the things together and connecting the dots. You ultimately get paid to learn, and it's really nothing short of beautiful when I see senior citizens that I coach professionally for online income generation regain that spark of meaning and purpose. Please understand that during your old career, it's very easy to define yourself based on your job or your title. But when you work from home, you define yourself based on the possibilities of the things you can do, and every time you produce something, you achieve a new level and you explore territory. That's a beautiful thing, because you're celebrating your growth as a human being on so many different levels. Keep the benefits above in mind if you're still on the fence about working from home. Please understand that senior citizens working from home don't just benefit financially from doing so. They stand to gain so much more.